Hey everyone, welcome to Gimme Vendcast episode 5. You've got myself, Evan Jarecki, Chief Customer Officer of Gimme, and Mr. Cecil Ledesma, VP of Strategic Partnerships, again this week. Cecil, hit us with a topic on your mind.
Evan, it's good to see you again, man. Listen, vending in markets, how many times have we heard that? What is the future of this industry? Where is it going? I can make a case for both. So I think that's the topic for today, right? Let's pick a side. I'll go vending, you go markets, make your best case, pro and con, for or against. And let's see, I don't think there's an end in sight here. I don't think there's an ultimate destination here, but
Right.
Is vending alive still? Is it dead? Is markets the new best kid on the block? I don't know.
I would say this. If I had to pick at starting a vending or a micro markets operation today from scratch, I would go 100% markets. I don't think I would start with a single vending machine if I didn't have to. Now, I think one of the cons to that approach is that I would probably need more upfront capital to make it happen, rather than being able to find a still working machine from many years ago, decades ago, and just being able to get things started. I think there would be more planning, more timing, more capital. But if I could just purely choose, I would go markets first. And I think the reason I would start there is, I think it starts with the attractiveness of the break room. If I walked into, let's just call it an account that had none, and I walked in and either I was going to transform their break room into something special for their employees, I just think my sales pitch to that account would become a lot easier, talking about a micro market rather than just the ability to have a machine. I don't know if there would be a transformation in that conversation anymore.
Well, I'm sure that is it's a thought, it's a strategy, it's ideas that operators share along with you.
Mm-hmm.
It's markets.
Right.
So here's my idea on vending.
Okay. Let's hear the vending side.
To me, vending's alive, right? I don't think vending will ever die. I think vending dies when the last printed newspaper dies.
There you go. Okay.
It's still an avenue, right? People will choose ultimately where they get their news. With vending, to me, it is the ultimate inconvenience because I can put a machine closest to a workplace or a cubicle. I can put a vending machine next to a cubicle. And well, if you're so lazy that you don't even want to get up, you just reach.
You can put it anywhere.
You
can drop a machine anywhere.
That's right.
You can drop one on every floor of a tall building instead of one at the bottom of the building, one market, that is. You can drop it everywhere, anywhere.
Still the ultimate inconvenience. Now, the assumption is if you're talking direct convenience like that, then you've made all the payment amenities and capabilities possible as well. I get that, right? But it's the physical machine and its role in convenience today.
Right.
Where does it fit in? Why did it fit in before? Right? Let's go 10, 12 years ago. Why was everything, all the rage was vending? Vending. The last 50 years, it was vending.
Right.
Why doesn't that work as much today? Consumer preference? Is the industry trying to mimic the buying experience at a grocery store?
Yeah, well, I think you bring up a good point there. I think there's something to say about experience versus convenience based on when I kind of see it from a grocery store, from a retail perspective, when the ordering online is just simply the most convenient, because convenience to the fact you don't need to get up and go anywhere, whether that's just, I don't even think it's really out of pure laziness. I think it's just out of, I know I can get this if I just go here and it takes me less than a minute to get exactly what I need in 2 days, right? Or 1 day with Walmart soon. But in the brick and mortar, you are committing to the transaction to order online takes less than a minute, pretty much. If you know what you want, if you know exactly what you want. That same transaction may take you an hour or more to go to the brick and mortar store to get what you need. Yet there is the fact that you'd have it the same day. So I've always had this kind of love-hate relationship with ordering online versus going to the store, because if I needed something today, literally today, I wouldn't order online, right? I would just go pick it up, whatever that might be. So right. I think that there's a little bit of that in the vending and markets competition. And where I would agree with you is that out of the gate, that vending, yes, I may choose the markets because the experience is preferential, and I think I could do more to a break room with a market and transform it. But that's a different ask than just having the convenience of a vending machine, where you could have it closer to you. It's more in line with the exact moment that you need it, depending on where it is. But right. I wonder, can that be, I guess, expanded further? Can there be even further convenience past the vending machine where it's on the same floor or something like that? How do you, I guess, expand from there, from vending or markets?
What do operators think? But more importantly, what do consumers think? Right? The same Dr. Pepper. I'm biased because Dr. Pepper is Austin, and Austin
I like it. One of my favorites. So,
yeah, mine too. Dr. Pepper, if you're listening, send us a case. So that's a powerful statement, because consumers were pretty much shut out of a lot of these decisions that operators really were making 5, 6, even 10 years ago. It was all about operators forecasting. Here's what the market's going to need. Here's how we're going to put product closer to the consumer, the buying public. If we just put the products that they like, they will come, to a nearby machine and buy it. And then the operators started to just put even more machines out there, right? And then cash and coin were no longer sufficient, because as the cost of goods go up or went up, and 20 ounce started to, get past $1, now $1.25, $1.30. So now they had to start thinking, how do I make this, feasible for an operator? Maybe we start looking for a non-cash accepting instrument, right? So there's loyalty, or whether it's cashless, debit, credit, plastic, whatever you want to call it, anything other than, slipping in a very crinkled dollar bill or change that nobody has. Right. So then you start thinking, okay, well, if I can put more machines out there, great. Until the consumers, I think, started to get weary. Number one, they can't really touch and feel the product. They have to wait till it comes out, and then they're satisfied with the set of choices and options. This is me making a case for and against vending now.
Sure. What you're speaking through is almost the evolution of the buying experience as a consumer at a vending machine. And what you're painting the picture for is how markets even entered the industry as an option. Because, as you said, can it get any closer than vending? Well, it seems like is that really going to change? It's kind of it's a box. It takes your payments. We'll give you cashless and mobile pay, and you'll be happy, right? And we're kind of like, no, the consumers are saying, no, we're not 100% happy. One, for the big thing that comes up for me is, well, you mentioned being able to touch and feel the product. Well, where else can you do that first? And you have, regular grocery stores, but you also have convenience stores, which are gas stations or other spots that are already on the way home or already in your path of travel. So then the question is, how often do you need that snack or that drink, or what time of day do you need that snack or the drink? And, is it useful as one break? Do you take one break over lunch a day where you're already going to the lobby and you walk by and you have the food truck and the convenience store? So then does the vending machine just become, more, less helpful in that case, because you don't need it so many times a day where it's that convenient all the time? It just sort of challenges the I guess, trust in the product itself. You don't know expiration dates. There are things you can't see. Some nutritional info by product, all expiration dates. Sure. There are things that are hard to see, and it becomes, I think, harder to trust rather than exactly what you're getting from a store that you can touch and feel the product from.
Yeah. Convenience, right? We talked about those machines. It hit me just now as we're talking. It just reminded me, the banking industry changed and revolutionized how they, offer 24-hour service. I can't even remember the last time I physically walked into a bank. My bank's not even it happens to be in Texas, right? But
yeah.
USAA, shout out to the best bank in America, right?
There you go.
You don't even have to be in the same state to do banking with these guys. But I'm talking about the evolution of the ATM machine. Mm-hmm. What did that do to customer service and depositors now having access to their money 24 hours a day?
Right.
It's powerful. So the banks are thinking, how do we extend this service long after the bank physically has closed for the day? Mm-hmm. I'll make it available, but put that capability at the front of the machine or the front of the bank. Right. And now the lines are forming outside, but you still have access 24/7.
Right.
And I think that whole vending principle of, hey, I need a drink when I need a drink, and it doesn't really matter if you charge me a premium or, a price difference that's higher than retail. I'm willing to pay it because ultimately my time is worth more than the product that I'm paying for.
Right.
Markets maybe have the same effect.
Right.
With just infinitely more SKUs possible. Maybe that's that. Maybe that's exactly what the answer is. Well, as to vending versus market, is vending dead? I don't know if that'll ever get answered. But I'll tell you what, there are a number of operators that are starting to make that transition in their minds, in their strategy, and in how they look at this market and where the opportunities might be. Right.
Yeah, I think there are some when I picture a market, you made me kind of think of, I guess, metaphorically or in comparison to the box for a micro market right now is the building in which it's held, right? So in an employee building is the box around the micro market. So from a consumer's perspective, the ability for it to be a grocery experience, it's kind of like they're already entering it's a private break room, right? It's a private spot. I think the big challenge and some of kind of how you were describing it made me think of like a public versus a private location, like just the principle of a machine itself, right? It is a locked box where in exchange for the product you need to pay money, but in a public place you have it is self-contained. It is not contained by anything else. So there can be a lot of challenges in that. With a market though, and a machine within the building, it becomes isn't this already a safe place? Isn't this already a place where there is security? We have security at the front of the building. We're behind that. It's monitored. That the experience feels more gated off when you have a machine within a building you're already, entered into rather than a public place. I wonder if there's any, just from a consumer buying experience, when you're, the difference between when you're in a private place, the difference between you're in a public place. Again, it makes me think of grocery stores more than anything else. Like, you walk into the building, that's the secure part. Now everything from within is grab and go and touch and check out and read about, and your consumers are used to that experience and have been. So I think that is partially of what's driving the distrust or the questions that come up when you're ordering from a machine instead. So it is very just interesting to think about the changes to that buying experience more than anything else. So,
do you remember when Apple finally got rid of the floppy disk drive?
I think so. I may not have a story to tell, but I may know some of the history.
Because I thought my world was over when they did it.
Oh, yeah.
And you realize, my gosh, these guys had the vision that, hey, we're going to do something better. Floppy disk went away. And then that's when CDs and this, that whole thing just transformed into the next one, and it held more data and all that. But the transformation, right? So by Vending taking center stage with a lot of operators, to now with operators that have more markets than Vending is taking a back seat to it. Does it diminish the value of Vending? I don't think so. I think there's if you're a creature of habit, I'm the kind of guy that can eat the same food every day.
Right.
And if all I want is the same Dr. Pepper every day, and I can get that, I'm good. I don't need a micro market for it.
Sure.
But I know I'm not, I can't, my behavior is not, mainstream America, but
that's why there would be part of it that would stay Vending.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But do you think operators at some point will have to make a choice? Do you go all in on one and turn your back on the other?
I think that, to your point earlier, consumers may drive that decision, because I do think that there are demographics that would lean maybe heavier to a more static way of getting their products. But here's the one thing I do know, or at least that I've learned or observed, is that the entrance of a micro market has never been a negative thing for a place that traditionally has Vending. Meaning, because there are more options and more SKUs, your guarantee of a Dr. Pepper feels more likely at a micro market than at a machine with a limited number of SKUs. Where actually I could have triple the number of SKUs at a micro market for Dr. Pepper, and you're going to be like, heck yeah, I'll pretty much always have my Dr. Pepper now that there's triple the amount. So I've never seen it a negative thing to add on a market versus the machine. Now, it's the difference in costs and the structure of it, sure. But to the consumer, I haven't seen the negative. And other than maybe related to cost, as you mentioned earlier. But if with the addition of credit cards and the just quick to pay, quick to swipe, I think cost is becoming less of an issue. So to answer your question, I think operators will have to make a decision on micro markets specifically, whether to go all in with markets and just be focused and be hyper focused, even though I think they could still have some Vending business. I think that just makes the team very focused and not, distracted. But I also think that anyone staying Vending is going to miss out bigger on micro markets.
I totally get that one.
Yeah.
Totally get that one. So I will ask my final question of you as an industry expert and thought leader, which I considered you to be one.
All right, I gotcha.
Besides cost and, the money involved in terms of on whatever investment, right? When operators go in with a market, why do 7 or 8 vending machines come out?
Mm.
If we're talking about convenience, don't you have the best of both worlds? When you have a vending machine on every floor and then one central break room, modern micro market, decked out to the gills.
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
So
it'd be like the best of both worlds.
yeah.
But that's not what happens every day.
Well, I think there's a bigger point to that than just convenience. If you take out cost, take out price, and even the convenience of the machine. Let's say the same snack you wanted you're on the fourth floor. Why is it either okay or you're even more happy to go to the market on the first floor than up at the fourth? And I think my prediction to that on why you would remove those other floors and just stick to the market actually has a lot to do with, and I mentioned it earlier, the transformation of a break room and even a bit of the energy and revitalizing the energy at a building by putting more employees together. And maybe I'm off here, but I don't know if that's necessarily what the account is asking for is, hey, help me, transform my culture. Maybe that's just a net benefit of the
Right?
products.
You're
But when it
something
comes to
here.
the employees and the consumers, I mean, then the experience in comparison where you are at a big building and you're going down to the market to get some food or take a break and be able to have room to sit down, eat or drink, or even see people from another division. Or I think there's so many fringe benefits to the travel down to the first floor to truly take a break that instead of just go to the machine, hop back to your desk, and it's a uneventful experience. I think those fringe benefits make a huge impact to the place that's getting the benefit of the market, as much as the operator gets the additional hardware removal and the headache of managing maintenance on multiple floors and multiple machines. I think the labor involved sucks in
I can see
comparison,
that. I can see that.
frankly. But yeah, I think those fringe benefits are huge, though.
So now you're talking about a gathering place, right?
Right.
You're talking about community and networking and the possibility for employees that typically would never have anything to do with one another.
Yeah.
Could just, meet at a little break room and a micro center at the center of all of that. And it just, it brings people together.
Absolutely. I remember this is just to kind of cap it off. One of the things in high school I remember from going to a big giant school, 2,000 plus kids,
Right.
and then moving to Savannah, back in Illinois, Chicago, then moving to Savannah, Georgia, and going to a high school K through 12 with 150 total students was pretty that significant in the number of people you see every day. And I think there was, I met everyone in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade in the first week of me going to this small high school in Savannah. And then that was the same on week 2. I already knew everyone's names, essentially. The interesting part about the large when I think about the micro markets where you have other people interacting was, I remember the big high school, it was like interacting or seeing new faces or new people, new teachers, students, whatever it was, almost every day. Kind of like you're at a mall and just had there were the more random interactions and almost for me, more opportunity for just spontaneity and creativity and running in, seeing new people doing new things. And there's more adventure in that, I think. And it's not to say anything against the small school. I love the small school in Savannah, but I just think the way the break room can bring those people together and be that meeting place just personally has a different effect, and I think creates memories. It's a more memorable experience, or can be. Not always, but it can be. Whereas going to a vending machine will almost never be, I would say. It's only convenience, 100% convenience. I'm with it there.
Right.
But has no other fringe benefits in most ways. It's pure. It solves a problem, but it's a niche problem. Whereas I think markets can just do more. It can do more than just convenience.
I think until they start building tables and chairs around vending machines.
Oh yeah.
I think markets will be that final destination for this community gathering and just for, people networking and having a good time, a short break.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. So
I completely agree. I think it's and that follows right into your earlier point of it. It still serves a purpose, because when you want just a thing and need to get back to whatever you're doing, you just need the thing. Pure
100%.
convenience, it's great. Just do it. It gets exactly what you need. But there's no break in that. It's not meant to be a break necessarily until they add the tables and chairs. I would agree.
So operators need to start incorporating some of these ideas and not just saying, hey, we're going to revitalize and we're going to, inject more life into the break room the way you and I know it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Sell social.
They have a lot more potential there. Absolutely. And some are doing it. Some
Right.
operators are doing that. I think that you're right. Operators can play a new role in their customers, community. They can be a special role.
We just figured it out.
Yeah, I love it. So vending and machines, the bottom line is we think, and I think we agree on, both still have a place in the industry and both are changing, but there are specific roles that each fill in their own way, and that operators would do well to take advantage of those fringe benefits from being 100% convenience on the vending side and having all of those additional community and social benefits on the market side.
I love that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Love it. Well,
let's leave it there.
Yeah, let's leave it there. And for everyone who has watched and or listened, if you have your own thoughts, share with Cecil and I below. We will take new topic suggestions. We want to talk more and more about the industry, and we'll see you guys every week with a new Gimme Vendcast. So Cecil, thanks for being on here today. And to everyone who's out there, we'll see you next week.
See you, Evan.
Bye.